In today's video, we're once again going to take a look at the NHL Draft Lottery Simulation Tool. Obviously, the NHL regular season is coming to a close here, and now we're going to play around to see who might get the first overall pick in the 2025 NHL Draft. We'll follow that up with a mock draft for some of the top picks. All that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today we're going to play around the NHL Draft Lottery Simulation Tool, and let's take a look and see who might just get the first overall selection here in the upcoming 2025 NHL Draft. Obviously, the regular season is wrapping up. The playoffs are about to start, and well, you know, these teams that are out of the playoffs have something else to look forward to, at least for the management and executives, and that's where they're going to end up drafting. There's some teams that are in the lottery, you know, that aren't normally in there, that had a bit of a fall from grace this year, that could greatly benefit from a high pick. So we're going to hop onto the computer. We're going to go to tankathon.com, which is where the draft lottery simulation tool is located. We're going to simulate this lottery to see who would win, get the draft order, and then we're going to conduct a mock draft for some of the top selections and see where some of these top prospects would go if things played out in this way. So let's hop onto the computer and simulate the draft. Okay, so as you can see here, we're now on the computer on the tankathon.com website where we're set up with the 2025 NHL Draft Lottery Simulator tool. So just to review here, we still have 1 day left in the NHL regular season. As I record this video, I don't really suspect it's going to really change much, especially for the teams with the best odds. If you look here, San Jose is the worst team with 52 points. There's no way they can move out of that spot. Chicago, next worst, 61. Obviously, and some of these teams here are done anyway, like Chicago, San Jose, Nashville, Boston, and Seattle. The bottom 5 teams, they've already finished their full schedule. Some of these other teams that have much less chance of winning the lottery have 1 game left, and really the odds of the changing here in the standings, it's pretty slim. So we're not going to see much movement in that regard. So this is really just for fun anyway. I'll probably run this exercise here yet again. Sometime once the final games are played in the next week or two ahead of the actual draft lottery. So there we go. So San Jose has the best shot, followed by Chicago, Nashville, Boston, Seattle, Philly, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Anaheim, and the Islanders. Of course, the Rangers right now in 11th spot. So we'll see what happens with them. They do have a protection on their draft pick that can be retained if it's in the top 13 selections, so we'll see what happens with them. But the 11 through 1 is the only ones they have a shot at first overall. If any of the other teams, 12 through 16, win, then those ones will move up a maximum of 10 spots. So Montreal could benefit here really well. Of course, they squeaked into the playoffs. So you can see they're just outside with their own pick at number 17, but they have the Flames pick that they picked up from that Sean Monahan trade a couple of years ago. So that could prove to be very valuable, especially if Calgary were to win. So let's see how the draft lottery simulation works out, and then we'll conduct a mock draft. Boom, there you have it. The Boston Bruins have won the draft lottery. They fall all the way to the bottom of the Eastern Conference, and they have a little bit more luck here than the Blackhawks or the Sharks or the Predators. The Predators also another surprise team that would be so low this year, but Boston moves up all the way to number 1. Of course, that's only a 3-spot gain. It's not that unusual to see that happen. Of course, Chicago maintains its number 2 spot, and the Sharks and the Predators both moved down. So those are your results for the simulation. So we'll take a look at these selections here, and then we'll conduct a mock draft now for some of the top selections. Selecting first overall, we have the Boston Bruins, and we have them taking the top-ranked prospect from the Erie Otters, defenseman Matthew Schaefer. Schaefer unfortunately missed a lot of time due to injuries this year, but still ranked a top prospect by Central Scouting and many other prospect scouting agencies around the NHL. He only put up 22 points in 17 games, but this kid has star defenseman potential written all over him. He does have similar qualities to some of the top young, mobile, dynamic defensemen in the NHL. Not saying he's going to be Cale Makar, but he has some qualities to have the same sort of impact. I think this could be a game-changing prospect for a lot of teams. Boston, of course, who bottomed out this year, if they were to win this lottery like they did in the simulation, that would be an absolute steal for the Boston Bruins. Next up, at second overall, the Chicago Blackhawks, and they would select in this situation Michael Misa, Misa is another prospect who at one point was projected for a long time to go first overall. Obviously, at some point we had Hagens one, Schaefer's been one. Misa is still a player who, you never know, could surprise and go first overall. Put up 134 points this year in the OHL for Saginaw. Dominant performance, tons of skill. It could be a game-changing centerman. For a team like Chicago, they've shown some promise here down the stretch of the NHL season, but to have another player that could come in and be a good support with Bedard is absolutely imperative. I mean, they've got a few forwards that have shown some flash, but Misa would surpass them all. At number 3, we have the San Jose Sharks, and the Sharks will be fortunate here to get James Hagens from the Boston College Eagles. I mean, obviously, representing Team USA, Hagens has shown a lot of promise here. At one point was the consensus number 1, has slipped a little bit in the rankings this year, not so much because he's been playing bad or having a bad season, just because I think Misa and Schaefer, by many people's opinions, have surpassed him. At Boston College this year, he put up 37 points in 37 games, had a strong World Junior Tournament for Team USA, winning the gold medal this year. Hagens is a potential, impact player here for the Sharks. They have a long way to go. They have some real bright young studs like Will Smith and, of course, Macklin Celebrini, Sam Dickinson coming on the back end, Askarov between the pipes, but Hagens would be another weapon to add to that. The Nashville Predators would select 4th overall, and they would select in this scenario Porter Martone, of course, who's the captain of OHL Brampton right now. Martone's a player kind of been up and down the rankings a little bit this year. He's actually ranked 6th in Central Scouting's final rankings for the North American skaters. I have him just a smidge higher. Obviously, he's got good size, 6'2". In 3/4, over 200 pounds. Goal scoring and playmaking, both strong suits of his. Put up 98 points in the Ontario Hockey League this year. 37 goals, 61 assists. But to have the size, speed, skill, and everything that goes with him could be a real nice addition here for a Nashville Predators team who did not expect to be where they were. This would be a nice reward for having the terrible season after the massive amount of spending they did in free agency last summer. At 5th overall, we have the Seattle Kraken, and I have them selecting Swedish player Anton Frondell. Frondell would be a nice addition to the mix there with the Kraken. Unfortunately, if they can't get into the top 3 or 4 picks here, there is a little bit of a difference, in my opinion, in the quality of player they're going to be able to get. Frondell's an excellent prospect, don't get me wrong, but just not going to necessarily have that high-end upside like a Misa or a Schaefer or even a James Hagens. Frondell, on the other hand, put up good numbers this year playing in Sweden, 25 points in 29 games, has decent size and skill, good on a two-way game, could complement the Seattle group, of course, already led by young players like Matty Beniers and Shane Wright and others there. Frondell would be a nice addition to the Seattle Kraken lineup. At 6th overall, we have the Philadelphia Flyers, and I have them selecting Roger McQueen from the Brandon Wheat Kings in the Western Hockey League, the big forward, 6'5", almost 200 pounds, not quite the shy 200 pounds. Unfortunately, did miss time this year with injury, but put up 20 points in 17 games when he was in the lineup. McQueen didn't really drop too far down in the rankings because of the injury. The talent and size and skill and everything that everybody knows is there. Obviously, a team like the Philadelphia Flyers need a bit of everything still. I think they're in a unique spot here. Depending on what's available to them when they do pick in this draft, they can go in a variety of directions. But for me, to have the forward with this kind of size and skill, I think would be something that the Flyers wouldn't pass up. Next up at number 7, we have the Buffalo Sabres, or should we say the ever-rebuilding Buffalo Sabres. And I have them selecting a defenseman here, Radim Murtka. And this might be a random pick to some people, but he's actually skyrocketed up the rankings. Central Scouting now has him as the 5th highest North American skater in this draft class, which, they have him ranked ahead of guys like Martone and Desnoyers and McQueen. So he's obviously really gone up the ranks. He's got huge size, 6'5", over 200 pounds, right shot defenseman, 35 points in 43 games. Obviously has a different skill set, unique spot here. To me, the Buffalo Sabres, they have a lot of young forwards. That's why I thought they, with a unique opportunity here, to get a big defenseman like Murtka. And I know they have some unique guys on their back end. They have Dahlin, Power. I'm not sure what they're going to do with Byram, etc. But to add a guy like Murtka, this team does not defend well. To have a defenseman of his size to add back there, I think just might be a huge something that they can't pass up. Next up at number 8, we've got the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I have them selecting from the Moncton Wildcats, Caleb Desnoyers. Now, of course, I know that for a fact that Kyle Dubas has been scouting the Moncton Wildcats. He's been seen at the Moncton Arena here, which is not far from where I live. Desnoyers is a player I've had the opportunity to see in person a few times. Definitely a very skilled, dynamic player. It's going to be, to me, a surefire bet to make the NHL, put up some great numbers this year for the Wildcats, and he's had an opportunity, because they're still going here in the playoffs, of course. Desnoyers has got an opportunity this year to be coached by Gardner McDougall, and Gardner's a phenomenal coach. He's going to learned so much from him this year, I'm sure. Put up 84 points in 56 games. It would not surprise me to see the Wildcats not only possibly win the Quebec League Championship, I think they're a threat to win the Memorial Cup. This kid's going to gain so much valuable experience this year, and will have a real shot at being a real solid top 6 centerman down the road, and be exactly what the Penguins need in the post-Crosby-Malkin era. At number 9, we've got the Anaheim Ducks, and I have them selecting Jake O'Brien. Jake O'Brien's another high-rising player here who has moved his way up the ranks this year, playing for Brantford in the OHL. O'Brien is now ranked by Central Scouting actually as the 4th highest-ranking skater in North America. If you throw in the fact there's probably only going to be 2 to 3 European players taken in the top 10, 12 picks, that I theoretically, based on their rankings, have him a little bit low. But O'Brien had a real solid year. Of course, a right shot centerman, put up 98 points in 66 games. If you take a look at the Anaheim Ducks, I mean, do they really need another centerman here? Not really, but not all centermen play center in the NHL. It could turn out to be a winger. They have a lot of young D there in Anaheim, too. To me, they're pretty well stocked. I wouldn't be shocked if the Ducks actually traded this pick, but if they do hang on to it, O'Brien would be another piece of the puzzle there for the Anaheim Ducks. Next up at 10, we have the New York Islanders, and I would have them selecting, at this point, Victor Eklund. Now, Eklund, to me, would be one of the better selections available at this point. Put up 31 points in 42 games, playing in Sweden this year. 5'11", 161. He'll need to add a little muscle to that frame to have a better shot at the NHL. But Eklund, to me, is a player who has a high probability of making it to the NHL. If you take a look at what he's done here, he's had a great World Junior for Sweden this past year, has a good two-way skill set. With what's available for the Islanders with this selection, I think he's a good choice. Now, we know the Islanders are in desperate need of prospects here. They really need to be able to figure out a way to retool and add some youth to their lineup, and I think Eklund could be a player. Might take a year or two to get there, but it would be a great pick at the number 10 spot for the Isles. At 11, we'll go a couple bonus picks here. The New York Rangers would select, and I have them taking Carter Bear from the WHL's Everett Silvertips. Now, Carter Bear, to me, another offensive player who can play the wing here. The Rangers have had issues with their prospects being developed properly and turning into the players they hoped they would be. We've seen a number of them end up getting traded, with Lafreniere being a prime example, who's still there, but yet has struggled to be, live up to the hype, so to speak. Signed a big contract extension and then took a big step back. But Bear, to me, is a great player. Average size, 6 feet, 180, but the left winger put up great numbers in the Western Hockey League, putting out 40 goals and over 80 points, and be a great selection here for the New York Rangers with this selection. And we'll finish up here with number 12, the Detroit Red Wings, and I have them selecting Jackson Smith from the Western Hockey League here. Now, I think the Red Wings, for this kind of pick, being towards the, closer to the middle of the first round. Well, not quite the middle, but not real high. I think they need to take a defenseman if they can. Their D-core is by far the weakest point of this team. I think Jackson Smith's a player who has real potential. He's got good size already, over 6'3", almost 200 pounds. Put up 54 points in 68 games. Left shot D, playing for Tri-City Americans Western Hockey League. And to be honest, he's ranked 13th by Central Scouting for North American skaters, which is pretty much in line with where they're picking. I really think he's somebody they should seriously consider having a look at. So that's the draft lottery simulation for today. Those are my top selections for those draft picks as well. So again, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Of course, we will likely be doing more of these simulations over the next few weeks until we know the real draft lottery results. And of course, then we can start planning and doing videos for the actual draft order once that is actually determined. So stay tuned. There'll be plenty more draft video and prospect coverage coming here in the coming weeks as we get into the full part of the offseason for half the league. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.